So recording a quick video about assignment one due to audio issues in my office hour recording. My internet was having troubles last night, so hopefully this helps. First thing is when you look at the assignment, we have a list of accounts. You want to make sure you use these names exactly how they're written out. So don't change, like for example, cash to bank, and then don't say account receivable dash Courtney, right? You want to keep these as is. In the notes, the descriptions, the journal entries, that's where you can add some more commentary. The notes are done for you for the regular journal entries. So, um, yeah, you get a little bit of a break there. You also want to make journal entries for all the adjusting entries here, right? These four, don't miss out on those. So make your regular journal entries from the transaction list, and also make the same way. Make the journal entries for um, the adjusting journal entries at period end. I will download this again, and then also open up the transaction records. So we have our assignment open, the transaction records on the left and the spreadsheet on the right. And the first thing you want to note is the proper format for journal entries. We have a reference to the transaction from the left, and then we have our cash debit, which makes which is an increase to cash, right? That's up against the left margin, and your credits you want to indent to the right, right? A few spaces, and then you have that. You want to make sure you're familiar with the playbook. I went over that in office hours number one. So you can see here, uh, cash, right? Cash for the debit. So we increased it because when the owner puts money into the company, the cash in the company goes up. And then the equity went up. So we increased that by doing a credit to it. So make sure you're able to use these rules. I have recommended you write them out and get familiar with them. But that's what you're going to use for all your journal entries. So let's go through a few here. Purchase insurance for the year for $4,200. Now, remember, we're going to go off our list of accounts. We're not going to make up new names. So when we buy something, an asset in advance, right, that's going to be used for a long time before it's kind of worn out, we want to treat it as a prepaid asset. So it's prepaid insurance, and of course we pay cash, right? 4,200. Yeah, and I lied. The notes are not done for you, so you have to do them, right? It is another assignment in my other class where the notes are done to get people started. But anyway, that gives you a chance to write what you want, right? So you can say purchase prepaid insurance for the year, right? Or you don't have to say prepaid, just say purchase insurance for the year, right? And every month you would expense this, right? You would debit insurance expense and credit prepaid insurance. And you would do that in the one of the adjusting journal entries. I'm not sure if the first one or second one, but you'll do it. And you'll have the same thing happening for rent. We'll skip that one. D is an interesting one to look at because you have shop machinery with 2 credits. You're paying partially with cash and partially on account. So shop machinery, you can debit that and that's 24,000. And then we have two credits. One is the cash, and one is to, was it a note? Yeah, a note. So notes payable. Right? And of course, we can make sure that adds up to 24,000. Right? I noticed somebody in our instructor's office chat, they asked about V. That is a tricky transaction. So we'll go over that one. You should be able to figure the rest out with this guidance. If something is really tricky, you can always reach out. For V, we had a transaction for Tanvir Gill. It was cabinet sales, and I'm trying to find it here. Here it is, right? Cabinet sales. So whenever you don't see the word repair, you can assume it's cabinet sale. There's two types of revenues. You want to make sure that you're recognizing the right revenue in your journal entry. Anyway, in the H journal entry, we would have a credit to cabinet sales revenue, right? Let me just go back and, okay. Right, this one, revenue cabinet sales. I'm just going to copy that. So you would have a credit to that in the original journal entry to Tanvir Gill. But now when we give this guy a credit, we will reverse that. So it'll be a debit, right? We'll reduce revenue cabinet sales by 250. And then he's going to pay on account, right? So it's accounts receivable for us. So we're going to collect a little bit less because we gave him the credit. Right? So yeah, in a nutshell, that's how you do journal entries. And remember, you want to do the same format for your four adjusting entries as well. So write those out. Make sure you do that. And then we go to a T account. You can see how things are posted. So we have a debit to cash from transaction A, and we have a credit to the capital account right here. And you want to do it once you have your journal entry done. You want to do that same kind of posting process for every single one. And then you're obviously going to have your adjusting entries after. I would say before you go into those, just pause, right? You want to fill out your trial balance. So you're basically just taking one number from each account, the final number, and you're posting it in here. Right? So you have 25,000 for capital, and that's assuming, right? Nothing changes. So it's the final number. And that's the cash is also the final number. It's not going to be, but let's pretend it is. So you put 25,000 for debits for cash, right? And of course, at the end, it should balance. If it doesn't balance and you can't figure out your mistake, it's honestly going to be a very small loss of marks, right? Maybe you'll lose 1 or 2 marks. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting everything perfect. the main points are making sure you understand how to make a proper journal entry with proper format, how to post to T accounts, how to post to a trial balance, right? Adjusted trial balance is after you update your T account with your um, for adjusting entries. So after you add those in, then you can fill this again, the adjusted trial balance. After that, it's pretty easy. All you do is you just fill in the numbers from your adjusted trial balance. Fill in the number for the income statement and the balance sheet. And the trick is to remember that the earnings number from the income statement goes into retained earnings. So if it's a profit, it's a credit, it gets added on to equity. Remember, earnings will increase equity. So that's a quick overview of the assignment. I apologize for the office hours audio issues. I've added a router which was malfunctioning before, right? So I added a new one, and hopefully that will give me another option for internet if we have the same issues. Typically, yeah, it solved the problem, but sometimes, yeah, I do have bad internet. All right, I will stop there, and hopefully that will help you.